What is up, everybody? Brendan Tyrell here with IGN. I am joined by Brendan Graber.
Hey,
Hey,
Brandon.
man. Fellow IGN editor who is working on the wikis for Sea of Thieves.
Fellow pirate.
That's right. So, Brendan and I have both been playing a lot, and what we wanted to do is basically this is my update for you for our review in progress, our Sea of Thieves review in progress. This should be day 4. As most of you know, if you've been playing the game or keeping up with the sort of news cycle on it, you know it's been having a lot of server issues. So we postponed our update yesterday to today. Having said that, we have done just a lot of work in this game.
Yeah.
I've played it for about 30 hours. You've played it for what, 20, 30 yourself?
Probably around there.
Yeah, so unfortunately, here's the problem: is that whenever we review a game, we always strive to finish it, and that's definitely what I wanted to do for you. You know, that was sort of the structure for the review in progress. I wanted to get to legendary pirate status and talk about whether or not that sort of end game content was worth the was worth factored into your decision to purchase it or to play it or to spend your time with it. I don't really necessarily think that's going to be possible now. I've played for 30 hours. You know, I'm hearing from people that getting to level 50 with each of the companies is how you actually progress into legendary status. After about 25 to 30 hours, you can see I'm only at 15, 18, and 7 because the merchant company is just awful. Finding chickens and animals on other islands is just no fun.
I like finding chickens. Everything else, though.
So yeah, I mean, this is where we're at right now. Granted, not all of this time has been hardcore grinding to get to that 50 reputation level with each of your companies. I've spent hours and hours just exploring and goofing off with my buddies, but I'm at a point now where I feel like I've played enough of it where I can give it a provisional score in the very least, and tell you what I'm thinking about it. So to start right off, let's talk about the progression system and the voyages,
Yeah.
because this is the sort of Sea of Thieves' biggest problem. Is Sea of Thieves, in my opinion, right now is an excellent foundation for a game.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that foundation is sort of what's there now. There isn't a whole lot of content on top of it. Your main progression systems in Sea of Thieves are these voyages where you take them and you either take them from the gold hoarders to go dig up a chest, or the Order of Souls to go assassinate some skeletons, or the merchants to go find chickens on an island somewhere and then bring them back. And that initially in the first couple hours is very engaging and very fun because those voyages are what sends you out into this big wide open world full of adventure and mystery. And you find a sunken ship and you dive into it and you find a message in a bottle in the sunken ship that sends you to another island where you find tons of treasure chests to dig up, and then you get attacked by fellow pirates because they've seen you on board all those chests. That's sort of like this really awesome thread of adventure that you can just keep pulling and pulling. Unfortunately, that's sort of the one-off. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of the gameplay is this right here, which is taking a voyage, finding the island, going to the island, completing the objective, in this case killing a skeleton, and then going back to the outpost to turn in whatever the loot happens to be.
Right.
While it's engaging at first, it quickly becomes repetitious. Would you say that's, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, like there are subtle variations on a theme. Like eventually, you might either have a treasure map or a treasure riddle.
Sure.
Or you might have to fight one skeleton or a grass or like a gold medal skeleton.
That's right. Like the higher the reputation you go with these companies, the more difficult and rewarding the voyages become.
There's still variations on the same thing, though.
Exactly, but there's still just variations of this same core gameplay loop, and that's I'll be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed in that, because there isn't much in the way of progression for doing all of this. I mean, the end game is to get to 50, become a legendary pirate, and that's when, quote unquote, the real game starts in taking legendary voyages and having the legendary pirate hideout, getting your own cosmetic ship. Right now, the only rewards you get are gold and more reputation, which is for progression, but that gold is only spent on cosmetic items.
Yeah, so you have 1,000 gold right now. You have a bunch of cosmetic gear.
I just bought a bunch of stuff for Granny Plunder. Can you do an emote or something so you can see it?
Yeah.
So I've spent about 35, 40,000 gold. Right now she's got a cool hat.
I gave her a mustache.
Someone put a mustache on. Was that you?
Yes.
How dare you? Take that off. She's got a cool hat. She's got a sash. I bought her a peg leg and some gloves. But there isn't really any meaningful way progression changes the game. It all just adds, oh, how goofy do I look now? Or I've got cool sails on my boat.
You mentioned sails. I noticed that all of the ship upgrades or ship cosmetic features, you can change sails, the hull, and the
front.
statue at the front. Those are all 70,000 gold each.
They're prohibitively expensive, yeah. So that's the thing is I feel like these items that are supposed to drive the player to want to do voyages and want to amass a treasure, they've been artificially inflated to make it more difficult to attain them to increase the length that you play Sea of Thieves. And I think that's a mistake. I think why you should play Sea of Thieves is to have a good time with your friends. I think Sea of Thieves is best enjoyed with other players, not just the randoms that you match into, because sometimes you match in with well-coordinated groups with mics. And, thank God they have mics, right?
Yeah.
Other times you just join in with, like, impish little jerks that want to watch the world burn and drop your anchor when you're in the middle of the voyage.
Which I found my fair share of.
Or sink your ship or what have you. But this game is at its absolute best when you are hanging out with your friends on your ship. And it's essentially, I've been throwing the term around with some friends here in the office, it's essentially the world's most engaging chat room.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, the purpose of Sea of Thieves is not to beat the game as fast as possible. This isn't one of those games. A, it's been artificially inflated, so you have to do an incredible amount of grinding. And B, the content here, the voyages that are here, are not varied or engaging enough after the first 20 or 30 that you do to keep you coming back. So progressing through the game shouldn't be the number as you're being attacked by Skullfort. Shipwreck Bay. So progressing through the game should not actually be, I think, your number one priority. I think your number one priority should be playing with your friends and having fun and letting that slow, very methodical climb to Legendary Pirate be the secondary point of an otherwise great experience. I mean, this is an excellent, excellent foundation for a game that is probably going to be amazing in a year or 6 months to a year or 2 years down the road.
Yeah.
Right now, it feels a little bare bones.
Yeah, I think they had to make a compromise that didn't really benefit anyone when they decided, let's not make progression inhibit other players so that people can't be, outmatched.
That's right.
But then when you basically take away progression for progression's sake, you just have nothing. You have
a closet full of cosmetics that you can put on.
And then at the end of the day, it's not really doing a whole lot. Plus, all the ones they have are, I would say, very overpriced.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the progression in the sense that I've noticed as you're leveling up your reputation with factions, the quests you go on still reward you the same amount as they do at level 1.
So it is a slow grind. If you go to the cosmetics, I'm sorry, not you, but if whoever's listening or watching this or whatever, if you go to the cosmetic counters, you see they have new sets of cosmetic items that are unlocked at varying levels, like 33 and 48.
Most of them start around 30.
And then the legendary stuff presumably is going to unlock at 50. But the fact that they have a cosmetic tier unlocked at 48, when you know you're going to get new cosmetics for legendary pirate status, makes me think that the grind from 48 to 50 is going to be intense.
What I've noticed, at least in the first 15 levels, is that everything is the same. You're getting the same amount. I was getting the same amount of experience from a Marauder's chest at level 1 as I was at level 15.
Well, the gold and the reputation varies slightly differently.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is what you do in the first 4 or 5 hours is what you do for the next maybe 50 hours, however long it takes you to reach legendary status. And to me, that's disappointing. It feels like this is an excellent, excellent foundation for a game that's coming up, but just that isn't quite there yet. Having said that, I do really love Sea of Thieves when I'm doing it the way that I think it's meant to be played, which is enjoying the beautiful artistry of the game. I mean, kudos to Rare's artists. It is just jaw-dropping to come through a storm and see a sunset, or to, turn the corner around an island and see an open ocean with just the most gorgeous vista in front of you. But you're doing that while you're playing. I think you just broke your legs.
Maybe.
You're doing that while you're playing with your friends and you're having fun and you're doing skull forts together and you're maybe griefing other players and harassing other players, or maybe, you're just trying to help other people. The point is like this game is best enjoyed with others, and I think it's a mistake to play it, as a game that you're trying to beat as fast as possible and be the best in. This is not a game to be the best at anything in. This is a game just to enjoy. And to answer the questions, we had a lot of questions coming in like, hey, is this something that I can play solo? It is, but again, I wouldn't recommend it.
If there was difficulties, this would be hard mode.
Yeah, solo is the hard mode in the game. I think there's I think there is reward to be had for playing solo. I think that it adds a level of tension and anxiety and fear that you don't find anywhere else in this game. Because when you are loading up on 3 voyages and you've completed them all and you have all that loot in your hold and you're just trying to get back to an outpost, seeing another pair of sails on the horizon is terrifying, knowing that you can't necessarily drive or sail and fire the cannons and repair holes in your ship and fend off people trying to board you at once. There really is like this sense of anxiety, and I personally enjoy it. I've played a lot of solo. I've played a lot of 4-player. I've played a lot of mostly 2-player. And I think they all have their own strengths and weaknesses, but I don't know. I don't think that trying to beat this game, playing it solo, trying to race through it to the end of it is the way to go. I think it's a really strong premise and a really strong game that's hampered by some pretty unfortunate progression and repetition issues. So yeah, while you are carrying around this gunpowder keg, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We'll be playing it a little bit more over the weekend. I can't imagine... Ooh, nicely done. Snake killer. I can't imagine too much else is going to change, but you can look forward to our finished, scored review. I know it's been a long time coming. I appreciate your patience. We just really wanted to be as comprehensive as possible for you. So, yeah, check back with IGN. Right now where I am, if I had to score it right now, I would score it a 7.0 for good. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Brandon. That's Brendan.
Hey.
We've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. We'll continue to play a lot of Sea of Thieves. And for everything Sea of Thieves, you are already in the right place right here on IGN.